Bespoke Show. This is a platform where we bring insights from experts on various contemporary industry topics relating to brands, boards, businesses. So you all know what the topic for today is already. To share insights about brand HMT watches, we have with us two esteemed panelists who have lived the brand along their professional journey. Who better than them to deep dive into the core values, emotions, and the patronage that the brand offer. The timekeepers of the nation has ruled for 25 years, and it will be exciting to know more from them about what this brand was all about. So thank you everyone in the audience for joining in and making the Sunday a splendid one for all of us with your participation. We will dedicate the last 10 to 15 minutes for question and answers or for any trivia that any of you would like to share about the brand. That will be great. So before we start the session, let me introduce the esteemed panelists. Mr. K.S. Narahari has been associated with HMT Watches brand for 6 years before he moved on to take high-level corporate communication roles in reputed organizations such as Wipro, IBM, Dell, and Texas Instruments. He has also chaired the Communications Forum of NASSCOM for 3 years and is a visiting faculty in B schools. Currently, he is senior consultant at The Practice. Welcome to the show, Narahari.
Thank you very much, Asha. Thanks for having me here.
Our next panelist is Chaya, and I would say welcome back because she has been on my show earlier. It's a pleasure to have you again, Chaya.
Pleasure is mine.
Chaya was formerly chief of PR at HMT Watches. She has worn multiple hats along her journey. She's been a journalist, independent journalist for 25 years. She's been an anchor, an author, an MC, and a model, and the list goes on. And on the corporate front, she has been associated with companies such as HMT, Infosys Global Education Center, and Eureka Forbes. Am I right?
Yep.
Welcome to the show, Chaya, again.
Thank you.
So let me start by requesting both of you to share briefly about what your roles has been with the brand HMT Watches. May I start with Narahari?
Okay. Well, I worked for HMT for 7 years, but then that was split between two divisions. The first 3.5 years I was with HMT International, which was the export division of HMT. And the latter part of my 7 years there, the latter 3.5 years, I was with the HMT Watch Marketing. So that gave me a perspective of the entire HMT operations, right from machine tools, tractors. These were some of the products that HMT International was mainly exporting. And of course, the exciting period came when I came to HMT Watch Marketing because around that time, a little before that, another major company came into India with watches. So that was a time when HMT really was working very hard to, continue its foray into the market. And we did some exciting things during that period, which I still remember quite fondly and nostalgically, even though it's now about 30 years now. So we can talk about it more and more as we go on. But it also gave me a good experience. Those 7 years in the public sector also gave me an idea of how a public sector works and how contrasting it was when I moved into the private sector. After I left HMT, I got into Wipro, and that too, it was the IT sector, which moved definitely at a very fast pace. But then the experience that I gained in these 7 years working in HMT really stood me in good stead when I restarted, you can say, my career in the IT sector. This was in 1992 when I left HMT and joined the IT sector. Yeah.
Interesting. So your experience spans beyond just the HMT Watches brand. It goes into the other sectors of HMT as well. That's interesting.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, we'll find out more. Over to you, Chaya.
I must tell you an interesting incident that made me join HMT. I was going for a morning walk and I saw a very terrible road accident. There were about 6 people who had, the victims of the accident, and a municipal van came to pick them up and take them. And I was at that time editing and publishing my own city magazine called Blossom City. I looked at it and I said, oh my God, there is no ambulance for these fellows. And I turned around and I found the bus which had collided and that accident had happened. And it was an HMT bus. And I told myself, I'm going to make this company buy an ambulance for the police department. They say now, man ki shakti. I came home, called up a whole lot of people. Ramalingam was the commissioner of police. He said, what do I do, ma'am? We don't have an ambulance. So anyway, to cut the long story short, 3 days later, I saw an ad in the Deccan Herald for a chief of public relations in HMT. Okay, it was almost like a message, when I said, I'm going to make this company buy them an ambulance. And 3 days later, I see this ad, I just applied, I got selected, and there was no CSR and all those concepts at that time. But after I joined as chief of PR, I made it a point, community service being one of the wings of PR. I went up to chairman, Dr. M.R. Naidu was chairman, and I told him this little story and said, can we gift an ambulance to the police department? He okayed it immediately, and we gifted the first ambulance that the police department had. And for me, that was a really big PR conquest for me. And I'll always remember that, because a company can do a lot for the community. And now with CSR funds, they can do so much more. But though we didn't have it, the chairman he understood the concept and he said, okay, let's give it. So I thought that's a nice way to begin my journey with HMT.
What an exciting way to start a journey with a company like HMT. Congratulations.
Yeah, and at that time, it was called the jewel in the crown. Pandit Nehru had called it jewel in the crown because it was the first made in India watch.
Right.
Citizen company, those people had come here down to Bangalore, trained this. This is called the horological industry, the watch industry is called horological industry. They had trained these people, and when Atmanirbhar was not a concept at that time, HMT was the first one made in India watch. Though Hari had more to do with exclusively watch division, I was chief of PR for all the divisions.
All right. Okay. That's interesting.
And, at that time, 16 units with 25,000 employees was our USP. Today, you have companies with 2 lakh employees and all that.
Right.
But at that time, we were the only company to say we have 25,000 employees.
Interesting.
And 16 units.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and right from Srinagar down to Kerala. We had a watch assembly division. No, Hari, wasn't it in Srinagar?
You're on mute.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. Right from Srinagar to Kalamassery, though not watches, HMT's units, they're all over. We had all over the place.
Yeah. East, west. That's why we said HMT.
Yeah.
Purab ho ya Pachim, Uttar ho ya Dakshin. We were all over there.
I remember. I think HMT really did not need any branding. I think the buses themselves would do the branding work for the brand. So it's an iconic brand. So I think it'll be interesting to find out, starting with Hari again, what exactly is it that made HMT the iconic brand that it was for almost 25 years?
Yeah, I think credit should be given to the people over the years who have had something to do with HMT watches, whether it's the production side or the management side or the people who have worked there. Just not marketing, because marketing ultimately is the one which makes the noise to take the message to the people. But over the years, right from the time they collaborated with Citizen and manufactured that first watch in 1961 and called it HMT Janta, Janata was a very apt word because, for the first time, India in 1960s, 1970s, even 1980s, at least till 1970s, the wristwatch was not something that you would take it for granted. We would wait for passing SSLC, the 10th standard, to get a wristwatch for the first time. In schools, they would not allow us to wear a wristwatch, unlike today. And then, again, it was an HMT watch that one would buy from the first salary. And it was the HMT watch that would be given as a gift during the wedding from the bride's father to the bridegroom. So HMT got connected with the common man, I think, in a very, very nice way. And to that credit goes to everybody over the years who have worked for this brand. Because, they brought that consistency, that passion, the awareness through those lovely advertisements. Chaya played one of them, and the other great taglines like Desh ki dhadkan HMT Gadiyan, and then Pulse of the Nation. If you have the inclination, we have the time. And then Rashtra ke Samay Prahari, HMT. So, those days, if you just say HMT, people would reel out some of these taglines. Tell me, in today's clustered advertising environment, how many people can remember a tagline of current companies? Hardly. You will remember those days like Hamara Bajaj and things like that. So the Desh ki Dhadkan HMT Gadiyan. So I think consistency of the product, the ruggedness of the product, the watch range, those were mechanical watch days, but the kind of ranges, the kind of range that HMT brought out, and the names that they gave to these brands. Today you don't have names for watches. You just go choose the model and buy. There is some part number and things like that. But HMT gave names like Sona, Tarun, Kanchan, very easily. Nutan, where you can very easily, relate to the people. And for the armed forces, it was not for the armed forces, it was for everybody. But in honor of the armed forces, they brought out names like Pilot, Jawan, Sainik, Rakshak. And because, as Chaya mentioned, we had the Jammu and Kashmir watch factory, Chinar was the name given to the watch which was produced over there. Then there was Utsav for all the festivals, the festival time when the festival times came. There was Shreyas, Swarna. I can go on and on like this. Each of these names was some names that the common man would relate to very easily. So it became a common man's brand. I think that was the biggest USP. If HMT had survived for so long, or even now, I think they're selling HMT watches online, and it's a connoisseur's delight even today. If it has gone on for so long, I think it is an overall marketing branding effort. I think credit should also go to the advertising agencies and PR also. PR could have probably played a much bigger role in HMT over a period of time, but somehow the corporate PR did not much align with or interact with the HMT watch division. Probably a little more effort could have even given a bigger push. But otherwise, I think overall, when Chaya came in, of course, a very, very concerted effort was made to, link corporate PR with the watches. And she came out with, in fact, a very memorable launch of our watch for the youth. And I had the good fortune of working with her at that time. And we launched it in Bombay and Bangalore in a really very creative fashion, something that HMT also saw for the first time. But otherwise, Asha, I think the credit should go to people down the line, right from the time the first watch was produced. It's not easy to build a brand. It takes a long, long time to build a brand. There has to be consistency, sustenance, good quality, a whole lot of things that makes a brand. You're a brand consultant, so you will agree with me. So I would give credit to everybody who has had somewhere to touch this brand.
Very interesting, Narahari. I think you're absolutely right. No brand gets built overnight, and it's a perception that builds over time. And I like some of those names and taglines that you recalled, because today there's so much talk about emotive selling. There's so much of expertise that people expect, but even without all of these technical words being used, I think the essence of that, it was already building into the corporate communications and the PR strategies of HMT. So I'm sure there's a lot of well thought out strategies that have gone into it. So maybe Chaya, you can share a little bit about what kind of a PR strategy did you actually wanted to evolve there, and how did that work out?
Before I get on to that part of it, since Hari was talking about buying the watch, I remember the first watch my father bought for me. He took me to HMT factory and met the GM. I don't know to mention names here. And he said, so which one do you want? I told him, Nutan is my favorite actress. Can I get Nutan? And I got a Nutan. Because you see, in those days, you had to wait for 3 months for the watch to be given. That was the waiting period for watches. And here, because my father was a good friend of the GM, so I got it. So Nutan was my first watch, which I wore. Now, coming back to PR, that's part of my PR about HMT watch. Okay. Coming to PR, see, when I joined HMT, I came from private sector. Unlike Hari, who was in public sector and went to private sector, I came from private sector. I was with Eureka Forbes, direct marketing, where it's a very free-flowing kind of an environment. And you come up with your own ideas, and there's nobody to either stomp it or corroborate it or anything. It's your idea and it happens, okay? And I came with that background. But I found it's a little different here. There's a lot of hierarchy. I wouldn't say bureaucracy because there are no bureaucrats there, but there is a kind of, you follow the hierarchy. Put it up to so-and-so, it has to be okay by so-and-so, has to go to so-and-so. For me, all this was taking too much time. I was on a fast track, I said, let's get it done kind of a thing. And PR should be on fast track because you lose the opportunity otherwise. Like Tom Peters said, you're either a quick manager or you're a dead manager. Okay. So I brought in that kind of a mood into PR when I joined the company. And for whatever reason, Dr. Naidu, who was at that time the chairman, was very supportive. And he told me, just draw out your PR schedule and let me see it. So next day it was on his table, my PR schedule. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And he okayed about 80% of them, So I slowly introduced what is called Aaj Ki Khabar. It was a daily newspaper kind of a thing, one-sheeter. But this was after the new chairman came, Mr. P.C. Niyogi, who came. He told me, you were a journalist, so why don't you do some journalism here? So I said, okay. 2 days later, it was on his table, Aaj Ki Khabar. It became a very popular newspaper where we wrote about what HMT was so many years ago and what happened here. And most people would go to the notice board to read it and then write to me and say, no, Adu, that was not right. This is right. And, that way they got engaged with it. And PR is all about engaging the employees. It's not marketing a product or anything. Because the employees are your internal consumers. You get them onto your side, they'll do the marketing for you. That was my belief. And Dr. Imran Raidu liked it, and that's how he chose me. I told him, that we are all image builders of the company. And I think PR should become actually the motto of every employee. Every employee is a PR person. Right from your security guy till the fellow who brings the chai into your office. He liked that concept very much. But I didn't have to do much with the watch people so much, but more with the entire organization, even the tractors, and because there were PR guys all over there. So we would all, connect with each other and they would send me information for Aaj Ki Khabar. So that was the PR I was looking into till we wanted to launch the Youth Watch. Yep. That's when I stepped in with the market-driven PR. That's when I requested chairman, can I please interact with the marketing department? So Hari was nominated there. Yeah. And we got along well. We knew we were on the same page. And if you want me to say it now or a little later, but can I continue with this?
Sure, go ahead.
So PACE was the HMT reply to, what was the Titan Youth Watch? Hari, what's the name of it?
I don't know whether Titan specifically had
Yeah, they
a
had.
youth watch, but
They
I
had
don't
a
remember.
youth watch.
I don't remember the name.
Okay,
it's been a
that
long
is why
time.
we brought out Pace.
Yeah, it was a quartz watch. Of course, Pace was a quartz watch, and Titan was making only quartz watches.
So Pace was going to be aimed at youth. So I convinced the chairman that youth like humor. Let's do a humor elocution competition in colleges. He liked the idea very much. And we did this as a road show in 6 cities. Went to Delhi, Calcutta, Hyderabad, Chennai, Cochin, Bangalore. We did all this as a continuous thing called humor elocution. If a Martian comes to the Earth, what will he say or what will he do? It was an amazing experience, believe me. And by the time Mr. Niyogi had joined as chairman, he liked the idea also very much. And Business World wrote a very nice article about a low budget but high visibility PR activity. It had high visibility. And Chennai was the best because Tamil humor is very good. And we invited public to come for it. There were ads which were put in the newspaper, and we gave coupons, discount coupons for those who came for the show, and a special watch with humor elocution on the dial was made for the winners. So those who have won it would be having this as a collector's item. Exclusively for the winners it was. And we also roped in the lamps division. You know, we had a lamps division in Hyderabad and I think Kalamassery also in Kerala.
No, lamps was Hyderabad.
Hyderabad.
Kalamassery was CNC machines.
Yeah, CNC. Okay.
Yeah.
So we gifted lamps to students. You know, a packet of 6 lamps because they have to study. You need light and things like that. So we try to make the umbrella, HMT umbrella, come into all these, not just watch, but these things. And when we launched Pace in Bombay, that's the time Hari and I first went to Bombay to meet. We both decided that we'll have Shamak Davar show. So Shamak was not as well known as he is now. He had just started, but I had come from Bombay, so I knew about him. So we went to him and he readily agreed. He felt very honored and he invited us to his rehearsals also. We went and sat there and watched them doing it. And we had about 4 or 5 models, right? International.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So we invited people like, I went and asked Mr. R.K. Lakshman, will you please come and launch the international model? He said, what do I have to do with watches? I said, it doesn't matter. Now you'll have something to do with it. And he said, what is this Shamak Davar, jazz and things like that? HMT Ma, it is a public sector. You must give maryada to it. I said, Mama, you just come. When you come, you'll give maryada to it. He agreed. We had Jugal Hansraj who came also. Then we had another well-known artist lady to come and launch the art series or whatever. It was an amazing show, believe me. It's Sophia College May. It was full. The college hall was full with youngsters. And Shamak did a specifically orchestrated dance called Pace, 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 Pace. You know how he does that? Very nice. So,
interesting.
When we came out, Dr. Naidu was still the chairman. He shook my hands. He said, your show was good. I said, sir, it wasn't my show. It was HMT show. So R.K. Lakshman, he said, parvala, good. You had Shamak Davar in a public sector. Very good. So for me, that was a big achievement to have Shamak Davar in a public sector. And we had a press conference at Oberoi, where even people like Khalid Mohammed, who's a film critic, he was also there. Bachi Karkaria and all the well-known journalists were there at the press conference. And we had organized the tables with 4 or 5 journalists with 1 HMT person there for them to ask him questions about whatever it was. And we had displayed all the models of Pace and all that. So, you know, if every company kind of merges marketing and PR, the brand will get a better visibility.
I think that's what it is. Today, marketing and PR work very, very closely.
Today.
Today, absolutely. I mean, when I say today, post 1991, at least, I think with many India liberalizing and many of these international companies coming into India, I think they brought in this concept also. But pre-1991, we were still, you know, in a different mold. And
that's okay.
More socialistic. But yes, I do agree that PR and marketing should work very closely. And you did give a kind of a start to it actually when you were in HMT. Yeah.
And in Bangalore, we had Zakir Hussain and Viku Vinayakaram, Jugalbandi.
That's right.
And we had people like Anant Nag as chief guest, and you know, so it was
interesting strategies. I think whatever was absolutely the right thing to do for new launches is what you have been doing, and I think the strategy of PR has actually stood the test of time. So the storytelling that you were talking about, I think, is still so relevant today, probably if not more, because of the clutter of the brands and the choices that people have. So I guess being able to do these things 25 and 30 years ago is absolutely amazing, Chaya. Great to know that. Narahari, I would like to understand from you, you were mentioning about how PR and marketing is converging today, in fact, since 1991, and that's so important to make sure that we send out a unified message across the stakeholders, right?
Yep.
And earlier on, Chaya also mentioned about internal branding, because the employees are actually the brand ambassadors. And I would also add on that outgoing employees also are the brand ambassadors for the organizations. Now, digital marketing has taken charge, right? So any marketing activity is now a combination of traditional marketing and digital marketing. Each sector varies in terms of the percentages or the components. So how do you see, I mean, not really specific to HMT watches, because it's something that I would like to ask you as a corporate communications professional. Do you see PR and digital marketing converging going forward?
Well, I think digital marketing and PR, I think, have already come together. Today, when, you know, in fact, if a simple press release that we send out today, immediately after sending out that press release, we also go on social media handles. And then, you know, adapt it to Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever handle you are on. So I think with more and more online buying and selling also happening today, and people understanding the conveniences of online shopping, everybody has a smartphone today in this country. I think the largest number of smartphones are in China and India, if you look at because of our populations. So I think public relations today while the traditional public relations still exists, that you still do print you go to print publications, you go to online publications and things like that. The press conferences, you know, have come down because, of course, in the pandemic, I'm not talking about the pandemic era where you're not going out at all, but even before the pandemic, gradually we could see that the press conferences are coming down. It's more and more getting digital. So our interaction also, which used to be person to person, started becoming more and more digital. So with the digital natives, as the millennials are called, coming into play, definitely public relations, like any other profession, is working very closely with digital marketing as well. Any industry you see, it's just not confined to any particular industry. And coming back to the HMT context, I'm happy that I read somewhere that they're now selling watches online and people are buying it because HMT is a collector's item and people like those mechanical watches, hand-wound watches. The Janta and the Pilot watches like that are still in demand. And, you know, people are buying it. And my very close friend and former colleague, Mahesh Jairam, who heads Dell Corporate Communications today, my successor at Dell, he's also a watch collector. And when I told him about this program, he told me on WhatsApp that very recently he picked up a few watches online. So I think that's a good augury for HMT as well, going online, because the brick and mortar stores today, you know, commuting in any city has become a problem. And once the knowledge of the people also increases when you start online buying, because you see online catalogs and things like that. And people today are much more informed than what it was earlier. That's what communication has brought into the world. People are much more networked, people are much more knowledgeable. So online is caught on, and it's great that HMT also is trying to now sell watches online. And I'm told that they are selling a good number of watches online now.
Yeah, that's very interesting, right? So I'm just wondering whether the nostalgia power is strong enough for the brand to revive, yes. Especially considering that retail is becoming phygital. So I think they'll probably be in the right place at the right time, yes. to be able to revive the brand. And do you see good prospects?
I do see not just nostalgia, Asha, even youngsters. You know, they would have heard from their parents, from their uncles, aunts about HMT watches. They would have seen them. So one of my colleagues just was telling me yesterday that she inherited some HMT watches from her grandmother, and they are her prized possession. So, you know, the youngsters also, it's like the old Hindi songs. I always think that the old Hindi songs are only for our generation. The songs of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, you know. But today's youngsters, of course, there's a lot of rap and things like that has come in now. But they still enjoy the old melodious Hindi songs of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So I think just like the Hindi songs, the HMT watches, also the story of the HMT watches has also come down the ages. And today's youngsters know about the HMT watches, except that they are not available. But I mean, in the open market, in a brick and mortar store. But HMT's brand name still is pretty strong, in my opinion.
Great. That will be very encouraging for the brand. Yes. Chaya, from your point of view, I mean, watches now are a signature statement, right? So do you think if they were to revive, it will still capture a good percentage of the market, especially considering the current market is all dominated by millennials?
You know what, Asha, you just talked about, will it come back? Okay. Can it revive the interest? Isn't it? HMT watch is not the brand. HMT itself is a brand. It's the brand. Okay. So one has to revive its glory first, and then roll out the product. Talk about, you know, how it happened and how it was the first made in India. See, now make in India is the current kind of a buzzword, right? So if we can bring that back, make in India happened 25 years ago, 30 years ago, okay? And talk about the story and start a kind of a digitally having a PR activity of HMT, the brand. Okay. And then you slowly bring in the watch into it. Don't talk about the watch itself, because then now you have Rolex and you have all kinds of watches now. Okay. What is special about HMT? It's special about it is its vintage status. In fact, you know what, I must tell you this thing. When we had the 750th million watch or something, it was a milestone for the company. So my chairman called me and he said, it was Mr. Niyogi was the chairman. He called me and he said, so CPR was the way I was addressed, chief of PR, short term kind of. He said, so CPR, what's your idea? I had another colleague called Mr. V.T. Narendra. Okay. I wish I had told him to tune in today. Now, we both discussed this and we both said there are so many people in India who own an HMT watch. Why don't we send out a newspaper ad saying, when did you buy it or when did you get it? So please write and tell us. So we call it the Vintage Watch Rally. And the person who has the oldest one would come and release this 750th million watch. The chairman just jumped at it. He loved it. You know,
may I request the non-participants to mute their audio?
What did he say?
No, carry on.
Okay. He really liked it a lot, and we were really working on it. You know, you know, we would have got a tremendous database if we had done that. And today we could have written to them directly and saying, what do you want to buy? We are back in action, kind of, okay, ticking away. Really, PR plays a big part.
Yeah.
Sure.
Very big part, if it is done in a non-conventional manner. Same press releases and all those won't work.
Right, exactly.
Got to bring them
As Hari
in.
was mentioning, press conferences is becoming a thing of the past, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
and today it's paid press anyway. Nobody will believe it. But the emotional content will help, you know.
Yep, yeah.
You have an HMT watch. How old is it? Even now we can do it, you know. If the company wants to revive it, they can even now do it. Do you have one? How old is your watch? When did you buy it? What's the name of the watch? There'll be so many who would want to say, hey, I've got one, I've got one.
Yeah, you can create a community actually.
Yes, you can create excitement about it. And once you create this kind of an excitement, the millennials will respond.
Very interesting point, Chaya. I think you mentioned two very important points. One is do not focus on the HMT watch brand itself, but look at the corporate brand as a strategy to promote the watches and to get creative about the PR. And of course, as Hari was mentioning, there's all the publications are available online today also. So I think that can be well leveraged to spread out this message and create a community before they actually go on a fast drive to promote these watches, I guess.
They can use social media for that.
Yeah.
Without any expense. You know, they can create a FB page, vintage watch page.
Yep. Right.
FB vintage watch page.
Yep.
And those who are having it come in to join the group or whatever.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Tremendous amount of database you'll collect from all over the world because there are many who live abroad.
Yeah.
And to watch. And believe me, I worked in big companies like Eureka Forbes and Taj Group of Hotels. Okay. But when I would say I'm with HMT, said, really, HMT? There was, you know, raising of eyebrows with a lot of respect for it. And the best PR activities I've done and which got me awards for PR was in HMT because we had the resources.
Yeah.
And we also had the reach.
Right.
It was an all India reach. So when we did the road show in those cities, we had such a big visibility there. You know?
Interesting. So I'll come back to you, Chaya, but before that, maybe I'd like to ask Narahari, what would, if you were to name 3 core values that the brand has, HMT, not just watches, but brand HMT, what would you pick?
One value was, it's the nationalistic value which HMT had, that, you know, it has to produce watches for the people of this country, to the masses of this country. I think that was a very, very good value that HMT had, and whatever they produced were for the masses. The pricing and things like that were all aimed at the masses. There were a lot of models also for the masses to choose from. So they wanted to make this watch close to people's hearts, and I think they succeeded in it. So that's one core value. Another core value was that, you know, we should produce quality watches for this country. HMT started watches in 1961 when the country was still still young as an independent nation. And, you know, the HMT proved that, you know, we could produce quality products in this country also. That was the other core value. The third one, I would say, is that we should make wristwatch more generic than a brand, that everybody should realize the value of a wristwatch and buy it. So they made it very generic. So that was another core value which HMT did. And it's so much so that if there was a wedding, people would go and buy an HMT Kanchan or a Sona. Even if you don't get a priest, I think it was okay, but you needed a Kanchan or a Sona. And if you pass your SSLC exam, you get an HMT watch. So I think that was another core value which HMT built up. But I just want to add a couple of more things. You know, people keep asking me quite regularly, why was HMT not as nimble as some of the other competitors who came in later on? I think there's a basic, that is the basic nature of a public sector company. HMT was a government-owned company. And so there were a lot of social responsibilities that HMT also had to undertake, even in a consumer product like the watches. So what happened was we had to build factories in places like Srinagar, we have Tumkur, close to Bangalore, of course. Apart from the watch factories, HMT as a social measure started watch assembly units in different parts of the countries in remote places, not in major places, like Gangtok in Sikkim. I can remember Betul in Madhya Pradesh, Mapusa in Goa. And HMT had to actually pick up people from these mafuzal places and train them in watchmaking. Now, every time we had about 3 or 4 watch factories, and every time the watch assembly parts had to come to these 4 or 5 watch factories from these remote places all over India. So look at the cost involved of transportation, the time involved. So a public sector undertaking, because of its social responsibilities, goes through a lot of these things. A private company looks at profits, a private company looks at top line, bottom line profits. But if you ask them to go to a Betul in Madhya Pradesh or go to a Mapusa in Goa and places like these, I just remember 2 or 3 names, but every state HMT had to go to. So that was a peculiar disadvantage that a public sector had. And that's exactly the reason why people keep saying today also, the public sector is no business to be in consumer business, like the ITDC hotels. Look at Air India. What a drain on public exchequer, taxpayers' money. So I know government and all the public sector companies which have been in competition, which got into competition later on, kind of fizzled out mainly because of social objectives being added on. CSR is different, but social objectives being added on. A private company can lay off people if it doesn't meet their business requirements. A public sector company can't do it. So these were some of the disadvantages that HMT had, and especially in an area where such personal preferences also play a part in wristwatches. More than clocks, you're so particular when you buy a wristwatch. So I think public HMT had the disadvantage. You didn't ask me that question, but a lot of people ask me this question, and I keep telling them that there are peculiarities in how a public sector works, the policies and the objectives of a public sector versus a pure play private sector company which keeps profits as its main objective.
Actually, you're reading my mind, because
I want to add on to
my next question. I'm going to come back to you, Jai, in just a while.
No, I want to add on to what he said.
Please, go ahead.
I want to add on to what
Please.
That's why before I forget.
Go ahead.
He talked about the public sector thing, you see. We had this peculiar thing called implementation of Hindi, for which a whole lot of MPs would come to the company. It created a stir of fear right from chairman to the PR, because they all have very, very sensitive egos. Okay, the kind of garlands that you have to give them, where do you give the garland? I bought more garlands then than I've never ever bought. Okay, and looked at the size of the rose, smell of the sandalwood, that kind of a thing. So we had one such committee which had come to talk about the watch. They were all sitting. There were about 20 of them. There was only one lady MP there. The rest of them, and they're all telling the chairman and the GM marketing, why don't you put the Hindi logo of HMT on the dial of the watch? I nearly swooned there. I said, by now, the watch was a fashion statement. You can't have a Hindi logo on it. Okay, and then it will create a lot of furor, because somebody will say, why don't you put Tamil logo? Why don't you put Kannada logo? Because it's a national product. Anyway, I kept quiet. As a PR person, it was none of my business. But when we had lunch, I had to take care of that lady MP. So while I was talking to her, very casually, I told her, Madam, this is a fashion statement and we have tremendous competition from who. So, that Hindi logo may not look so good, it might bring down the fashionability of the watch and all that. Haan, aap zarur theek bol rahe hain. So in the post-lunch meeting, she said, I don't think we should put it. And she used my same words like it's hers and said, and everybody said, ha, wo bhi theek hai, and they dropped it. Okay. So for me, that was a PR achievement to stop a Hindi logo on the dial of the watch. So what he said was right, but so many constraints that the public sector has to please people like that.
Yeah, I'll add on just one more point again to what Chaya asked. I'll just take a minute for this. Somewhere in, I just about getting into watch marketing, I was in HMT International. This could be 1987 or 1988, when HMT was asked to set up a new watch manufacturing unit at Rani Bagh, which is now in Uttarakhand, near Nainital. The HMT management actually told the industries minister, and HMT was coming under the Ministry of Industry. This gentleman was a senior person. He went on to become, in fact, the unique position of becoming the chief minister of Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. The only person who became a chief minister of two states, because the state split and he became the chairman of the chief minister of the new state as well. He insisted on having a mechanical watch factory, the hand-wound watch factory, when HMT management was telling him this is the quartz age and we should have a quartz factory. So in spite of another company already coming into India with its range of quartz watches as a major competitor of HMT, in 3 years earlier in 1984, HMT still went in for a mechanical watch factory just because the Minister for Industry insisted that it should be a mechanical watch factory. Now, how do you fight competition?
Right.
That much of interference is there. Now, I did not have experiences with MPs and MLAs, fortunately, that Chaya had to go through. Because I was not in the public relations part of HMT corporate, but I was also always in watch marketing. But this was a clear case of somebody in power asking a company in business, a company which is facing competition, to do what they want you to do, irrespective of the company saying that this is not the right thing to do. So these are, again, some of the constraints that HMT faced.
So many valuable insights from both of you on how challenging it is to be able to make a difference in a public sector organization. I can completely relate to that. Before I come back to Chaya on a point in continuation of what she mentioned, I'd like to ask Narahari, given all these challenges and the liberalization that has brought in so many foreign brands already, how do you think, and as you rightly mentioned, it's a consumer brand, watches is a consumer brand. So if they were to revive this brand and stay ahead of the curve, how can they, as a public sector, do you think they'll still have the same level of constraints that they've had in the past in terms of capturing consumer behavior? Because all the private players will use all kinds of AI and data analytics to capture consumer behavior. But do you think a public sector brand will be able to do that, or things have to change drastically if they have to revive this brand?
It's a very, very interesting question you asked. AI machine learning will be available to a public sector company also today. These are agnostic of whether it's a government sector or a private sector or whatever. But the problems that the public sector has still continues. The same ministers will start interfering, the same MPs will start interfering, and they will not probably let the company to go the way it wants to. And I don't blame the management. Management is also appointed by them. There's a public sector selection board and things like that. So I don't blame the management beyond a certain extent. You can't be that bold enough to take on a powerful minister at the center, right? So those pitfalls will still be there. So I would not, just not HMT, I would say that no public sector should get into a business which is especially more consumer oriented, where there is a lot of competition. Hotels, watches, airlines, for example. I don't think a public sector should enter at all. They should leave it to the private sector. So, but Asha, having said that, to the credit of HMT marketing group, I must say that even then, as soon as Titan came in 1987 or 84 or 87 into the market, I think they started in 84, and the first watches came into, with those catalog advertisements, they came into in 1987. HMT stood up to it, and I'll give you a couple of instances for that. We started something called Time Art showrooms. You could say it was a little bit of a reactive, reaction to what Titan had already done with their showrooms, because they set a trend with their showrooms. But the HMT Time Art showrooms created another brand for HMT watches. They had the same look and feel. We had franchises plus our own time art showrooms. There was one in the Unity building here in Bangalore. So we were still fighting pretty well. We went with our time art showrooms all over the country, gave a new look to. We also recruited some new younger salespersons who could speak the local languages as well as English and Hindi. So we made a good effort over there. And something that I cherish even today. I was the sales promotion officer and I was looking after events and things like that. In Samay Bharati exhibition in Calcutta. And this was, I think, 1991. Yeah, 1991. This is the annual watch exhibition, which happens in different parts of the country, which the watch trade used to organize. HMT for the first time got the best pavilion award. It was not a booth or a stall or something like that. It was a pavilion. And Titan's managing director then, I remember, walked into our showroom, wrote in our visiting book, this is how competition should be for watches. Wow. So I think that was a great feather in HMT's cap. So that was something that I really felt very proud of. And so HMT was trying to do a lot of things and to keep up. Also, because of our penetration across the country, especially with our mechanical watches, the amount of rural promotion HMT was doing was really mind-boggling. I myself, between 1989 and 1992, I went deep into North Bihar. I went into places like Sitamarhi. I went into places like Darbhanga, Gaya, Hajipur. Then I went again the following year deep into the Malwa region of Madhya Pradesh. I made Indore the base. Then I went into Mau. I went into along the Narmada River. I went into places like I'm forgetting names now. It's 30 years. Dhar district, and I went into deep district places.
All the
interiors of the Malwa region. Then in Coorg, we had this, the Neenasam Tirugata was a very famous group from Sagar in Hegoru in Sagar. So I took the Neenasam Tirugata party, the troop, to promote HMT watches in Kodagu district, Dakshin Kannada, Uttar Kannada, and Belgavi districts. So a lot of rural promotion also HMT did, which was unique, which, some of these companies which brought out only quartz watches, only for the urban class. Fast Track Chaya, incidentally, was the youth watch which Titan brought out. I suddenly remembered it now. This is a program of nostalgia. You got to remember what happened 30 years ago.
Pick your brain a little.
Yeah, absolutely. On a Sunday evening, that too. So some of these unique things HMT really did, which also has played in building up that brand. Apart from all the PR activities that Chaya did in those 3 years, that 3.5 to 4 years that she was in charge, she definitely brought in some very unique aspects. But over a period of time, this is all these things have built up the HMT brand.
Yeah, I guess liberalization happened and things changed, and probably that nimble approach failed short of its requirements.
Correct. And apart from Pace and Zap, we also launched high-level watches in quartz called the Elegance. I remember that. We had the Karnataka governor then to come and launch it at the Ashok Hotel here in Bangalore. That was a high-end watch which HMT brought out in quartz, and that was also competing with some of our competitors. It was made of, if I remember, I just wrote it down. I don't know where I wrote it down. It was a gold coating with another metal. If I remember it, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So I think HMT did try, but then the constraints of a public sector always worked against it. So I don't recommend, to your question, I don't recommend HMT to go back to, I would not recommend HMT to go back to the brick and mortar stores. Try doing things online. And
even online, probably a public-private partnership may be a better option.
If the private comes and partners with the public, yes.
Right. Chaya, I want to come back to you on, I know we are running out of time and we need to open up for the Q&A. So probably my last point with you. You mentioned so many valuable points about how their PR strategy should be if they were to make a comeback and stay on. Would you think something has to change in terms of the structure itself? Such as the public-private partnership. Is there anything else you think they should be doing differently this time compared to what they were doing in the past if they have to make a difference?
Asha, that can happen only if they have a new kind of people coming in
Mm-hmm.
with a different mindset altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I said, having worked both in public sector and private sector and the academic field, I feel the public sector has a very set mindset, which is very difficult to change because it is dominated by political interference. That's why. Then, you know, I have found some very, very qualified people in HMT.
Yeah.
Technical, non-technical people. They're good friends of mine. I still keep in, Hari is one of them. See, look where he reached after he left. If he had continued in HMT, he would be just going, you know, chicka, 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 push and pull train. But he went like
Classic
Punjab.
example.
Yeah, he went like Punjab Mail once he left the company.
So nice of you. Thank you.
No, seriously,
Yeah.
because there are very qualified people there, very technically sound people there. But they are not given the opportunity to spread out because of this constraint of interference, political interference. You know,
Yeah.
I want to give you one small example of PR for the company. Okay, because PR is my favorite subject. All right. We had about a couple of months when it was headless HMT. Suddenly, Dr. Naidu resigned for nobody knew why. And before the new chairman came, there was a gap of about 3 or 4 months. So there was a lot of speculation in the company, ki kya hoga, and a lot of aspirants, you know, the aspirants wanting to become whatever, you know. So I wanted to divert their mind a little. So I got the director of personnel to okay a project of mine where I said, design a flag for HMT. It was open to everybody. I hope they've kept it, you know, because when I left, I don't know, it was all there. So many entries we got. Each flag was different. See, now they were all thinking in terms of a flag for HMT, not a CMD for HMT. Okay, so you have to divert the mind of the people into a positive way instead of fear. Oh my, who's going to come next? What will they do next or whatever? I tell you, PR has tremendous opportunities to create a better interpersonal relations and things like that. Okay, so I do
More inclusive. You
yeah.
adopted a more inclusive approach.
Yes. So now I don't think you can revive a dead horse. I don't think it will work. We should go with digital marketing. But where are they going to produce these? For that, you need to have brick and mortar, no? You can only sell it online.
No, I think, yeah, you're right, Chaya, but I think they have revived a couple of factories, probably Bangalore, Tumkur. That's what I was told.
Okay.
And where they've got some retired people also to come and guide as to how to make, but they're making watches in limited quantities.
And Tumkur factory, particular machine which only HMT had, which 9 parts could be put together at one time. You know, the whole watch could be made in one line, in an assembly line.
Yeah.
It was an amazing thing, and only HMT had it, you know. And I took a whole lot of journalists to see that. I had 21 journalists who came with me, both from, you know, the vernacular press and English press. We spent the whole day in the Tumkur factory and they were amazed. Yeah. And we got very good press mileage for that, you know. I tell you, HMT had it going great, except for the interference. Yeah. And it was like saying, run by tying up your legs.
Exactly. I agree with Chaya completely on that.
Yeah.
I gave you the example of the Rani Bagh watch factory.
Yeah, that way. And one last thing is, see, when that Kashmir thing happened, when our watch assembly, there were so many women there. Overnight, they had to leave and come away.
No, our general manager got assassinated.
Yeah, and the women had to they left their children, family, everybody, and they came away and they were all rehabilitated in our various other factories.
Yes.
They would come to me and ask me, Madam, please, hamara badli karwa do, Chandigarh badli karwa do, mera beta 10th standard mein hai, and all that. And I did speak to several directors, GMs and all, and got many of them rehabilitated, you know, going back to their whatever it is. Okay. So the function of PR is in everything. They shouldn't call it a staff function. It should become a line function. Like marketing is a line function. PR is also should be, because people are the tools of marketing.
We are still fighting for it, even in the private sector, even in MNCs.
You agree with me, Hari?
I completely agree. We are still fighting with it. My students are here, a couple of them in this audience. I keep telling them in class also that, we should find our place in that head table.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're the voice of the brand, actually.
Voice of the brand, yes.
Across all stakeholders.
Yes. And just one point, Asha.
How can it be any different?
Absolutely. Just give me one more point in this marketing. I'm talking from the marketing perspective right through. While I think this is a great jugalbandi. Chaya is talking about the PR perspective, and I'm talking about the marketing perspective. Though later on, I forayed into PR and to the rest of my life. Just one more example of how we were keeping up to competition in the 80s. We were not overawed completely with Titan coming in. That's what I was trying to say. But all these other constraints which we discussed came into play. A neon sign, I was telling Chaya the other day also. We put up an HMT neon sign at Shivsagar Estate in Bombay. People who are familiar with Bombay know on the waterfront, there is this Shivsagar Estate, and then in Worli. And we put up an HMT watches neon sign that you could actually, after dark, when the lights come on, or even during the daytime, especially when the light comes on after dark, you could see the neon sign. That was the only neon sign for a number of years in Bombay. As soon as you come down from Pedder Road and hit the Haji Ali Circle, and then go along the waterway with Haji Ali on the left side towards Worli, it takes a good 5 to 10 minutes to reach the Worli end. You could see only the HMT neon sign. Old Bombay people, if they are there in this audience, they will recall this. So we did a lot of things, but then again, we have discussed this, a lot of constraints, and they were talented people, as Chaya said, but then greener pastures also started coming in, and various other considerations, people started leaving, and that's how it happened. But yeah.
Thoroughly inspiring. We are running out of time, so I think we are keeping our audience waiting beyond the scheduled time. I would like to ask if any of the participants has any questions or thoughts to share. Please switch on your video and speak up. It will be a pleasure.
Huh? Okay.
Go ahead, Akshay.
Yeah, so my question is, I learned a lot about HMT, but how can we use this branding lessons in professional as well as in personal life, especially for youth, youngsters who have just joined corporate world?
Chaya, would you like to take that?
Hari would take it, because you're teaching in colleges now.
Maybe 1 point from each of you.
Okay. No, I think this is a good case study, Akshay. I think we should take it as a good case study and discuss the lessons, both from a PR perspective as well as from a marketing perspective in B schools. I don't think you can get as good a case study as HMT watches has been. I'm not talking about machine tools and tractors and lamps and other things. But HMT watches, it will be a good case study to take it up. I think future generations, current generations, they all should know how this brand was. And it still is a very brand which is very close to people's hearts, at least among the older people. So it can be a very good marketing and PR case study in both communications and marketing B schools.
Chaya, any addition to that?
The only addition to that is look at the value of the manufacturing industry. The IT youngsters are only familiar with the IT. Coding, programming, and all the other things that go with it, whatever. But the manufacturing industry has a lot of constraints of its own. That has to be revived. If that is revived, then it opens up more employment opportunities, and that will give the engineering students also a better impetus to study. Otherwise, they're all going into MBA, they want to go to general marketing, generally HR and things like that, after doing 4 years of engineering, because they feel there is no outlet for that. So this has to be encouraged, the manufacturing industry. And the horological industry is really interesting. And I'm sure those machines are lying there. All those watchmaking machines, no, Hari? They must be lying there, right?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, they can be used. They can give it to startups.
Yeah.
youngsters can take them up as startups. 4 or 5 of them can get together. Like Infosys was built by 4 or 5 people together. They can start up something like this.
So yeah, today, that's a very good point. Today, a lot of watches are getting imported.
Yeah.
And we are all wearing imported watches. Of course, Titan makes it in India, but otherwise all the other foreign brands, what the ads you see and all that are all imported watches. So you got to make this horology itself, watchmaking itself, as she said, more, I don't know whether I can use that word, but that's the common word youngsters use, more sexy.
Yeah.
So you got to do that.
Absolutely.
And then you got to get people to get interested in it.
Yeah, and if you have a startup, it'll be with young people and
Right.
aim at the youngsters.
Great
And you can
insights.
make all those.
Yeah.
You can also make all those weird kind of dials and things like that, to attract the little kids. We had a little children's Zap also, the children's watch,
Right.
but it didn't take off very well for whatever reason, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So you can have a Mickey Mouse watch and things
Right.
like that, which you get abroad, all those kind of things.
I remember going, Chaya, with a baby elephant all over the schools in Bangalore to promote Zap, and we launched it. Anyway, yeah.
Absolutely interesting.
Yeah.
Akshay, I hope that answered your thoughts. I have a couple of comments from Ram. Indo-Japanese collaboration, probably the first of its kind for a homegrown brand.
Absolutely.
And he also says it was really nice to hear from ma'am and sir. They covered all the points. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one is from Navaneet. He says, what a great and insightful discussion from ma'am and sir. Amazing journey of HMT and a wonderful case study to learn from a brands and PR perspective. Thank you so much. Thank you, Navaneet, for those comments. Thank you, Ram. Anybody else who would like to ask a question, please go ahead. Or share a thought.
Anyone here who has a HMT watch?
I have one.
You
I have two, in fact.
Apart from
Ram,
you.
please go ahead. I hope I'm saying your name correctly.
Ruam.
Ruam.
She's my colleague. Ruam.
Oh, okay, Ruam. Ruam, please go ahead. You raised your hand.
I think that was just a comment and in response to who has a HMT watch. It was really fascinating to hear about Chamak Tower, road shows and rural marketing. Three very different things that we study. We always talk about how to do it in marketing and how you can do road shows differently and all of that. But to hear it in the times when it wasn't really the thing and how ma'am and sir would have done this, I guess if they could just shed a little bit of light, because rural marketing is very, very difficult. It's the most hardest thing they say to crack in marketing, especially considering every part of India is like a country by itself because of the dialect and culture.
Yeah, so Ruam, I don't want to take too much time, but to quickly answer your question, that is what we did in the 1980s. From a marketing perspective, we used to have in every district headquarter across the country, distributors, sub-distributors, as we used to say. And these distributors, sub-distributors would pick up the watches from the state headquarters and then, send it across through lorries and trucks and all that to the taluk headquarters. And then their representatives would go into, in fact, even the small towns and villages selling HMT watches. That's from a marketing perspective. From an advertising perspective, we used to get into all those publications and then take out advertisements regularly, which our advertising agencies would bring out. And we would constantly advertise them. Then they wouldn't be very jazzy advertisements, but what the common man would think. And to support it from sales promotion, that is the team I was working with, we would go into these places. I told you I went into 3 places like that. There were others who were also regularly going into other places. We would actually take a Swaraj Mazda van, those days from Connaught Place in Delhi. We used to hire those vans. Those vans would come in here with all those HMT posters and all that put up all over it. We would play films, those very famous films of those days of Rajesh Khanna and Shammi Kapoor and Dharmendra. I don't know whether, Ruam, you know about this. I know you're my colleague and you're familiar with these names. We would play those films to attract the crowd. We would have a public address system going around in that morning, asking people to come to the village square for this show that evening. We would have a salesman and a watch mechanic also there. So we would, in between, we would give 2 or 3 intervals before these films, and then we would sell the HMT watches and on the spot, with a discount. And we would also repair some of the watches if it was possible to repair immediately, or we would direct them to the nearest taluka watch, shop. I wouldn't call it a showroom, watch shop where they could get their watches repaired. So it was really tough those days. They were not the days of, your cell phones and mobile phones and internet and all that. It was all done by, going on the road, spending days in dingy hotels. In those days, in those places, in taluk headquarters and district headquarters did not have any good hotels at all. Today they all have. So dingy hotels with air coming into your room through those holes in the walls, in the walls that you have old houses with those holes in the walls. Just not the air, the lizards would also come in those days. So, in such hotels, staying in such hotels. So that was the kind of rural marketing we were doing those days. And again, HMT was unique in going into remote areas of the country, taking those watches. That's what I was telling. The common man's watch, that was one of the objectives of HMT. And really, we went into remote areas to take the watch to the common man.
That was a trump card.
It was a trump card, yeah. Thanks, Ruam,
Great.
for that question.
Great. Thanks for that interaction, Ruam. Anyone else before we wind up the session? Looks like we are done.
Sure.
Narahari and Chaya, what shall I say? Thank you so much for such valuable insights that I would never have found anywhere on the internet.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I hope the audience enjoyed it as much as I did.
Thank you, Asha, for this opportunity. And Hari, it's been great connecting with you again.
Absolutely.
Actually, Hari was also on my HMT Darshan. I had started a video magazine then.
Yeah.
We are talking about 25 years ago, Asha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nearly 30 years.
30 years ago.
And I'm amazed. I'm actually in awe about how you remember all the details and nitty-gritties of your challenges and your journeys. Amazing.
Because I did it, Dil Se Kiya Maine.
Dil Se Kiya, and the brand was obviously close to your heart.
I thought I was in a nation building activity.
Yes. No, it was really Desh Ki Dhadkan HMT Gadiyan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was nice again meeting up, Hari. I hope we'll have another opportunity to do something like this.
It was absolutely my privilege that I could meet up with both of you and get connected with Hari through Chaya, get to know more about this brand, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
HMT Zindabad.
Thank you, Asha.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.